Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So, in the previous classes, we have completed many disasters like geological disasters and hydrometeorological disasters. And in today's class, we will be starting with the avalanche, which is again a part of geological disasters as well as the hydrometeorological disasters, because directly or indirectly it is related with the water related things. So first briefly we will be discussing what is avalanche, how many types are there of avalanche, which is commonly not known, and what are the impacts and causes of these snow avalanches. So, if we go through the little meaning of avalanche, that means any amount of snow which is sliding down a mountainous slide, and it can be compared to a landslide only with the snow instead of rockfall or any other form of landslides where we have rock falls, where we have mud flows, where we have the hill completely hill that is sliding. So we have different types of landslides also, which we have seen briefly in our geological disasters class. Okay, so the only difference how you can differentiate between avalanche or snow avalanche or landslide based on the things which they are carrying away. Okay, so here in case of snow avalanche, the snow slide will be there instead of the other kind of landslidings. So as an avalanche becomes nearer to the bottom of the slope, it gains speed and power that can cause even the smallest of snow slide to be a major disaster. Okay, as you all know that where will be these snowfalls occurring? They will be occurring on very high altitude areas, right? So in most of the cases the slope will be very high. Okay, so when initially it will start, maybe it will start with a very small kind of snow sliding, but the time it will start creeping, or it will start falling down, the time it will start sliding with slope, it will get its speed, and it may cause a huge kind of a snow avalanche, whereas when it is started it may be a small sliding of snow. But because of the presence of high altitude as well as the high slopy areas, the sliding will may take any shape based on the slope the area is having, based on the height the area is having, and while it will be sliding towards downward, it will get its speed. Clear? So technically, what is avalanche? It is any amount of snow sliding down from a mountainous areas. It can compared with landslide. I told you how, because instead of land, it there will be a snow sliding. Okay. Then another common term for avalanche is snow slide. We can also call the snow avalanche as a snow sliding, as in the definition itself, how we have differentiated a landslide and an avalanche based on the things which they are carrying. Okay, then another thing which you need to take care, that is maybe the smallest of the avalanche, it takes a major kind of disaster based on the slope and the height of that particular area. If the area is very slopy, then it may be a very rapid kind of thing. Okay, if it is quietly smoother in its slopeness, then it may be a slower kind of thing, but that is rare. Then we have different kinds of disasters which we will be studying in today's class, but briefly I will be telling you that that is surface avalanche, which is occurring on the layers of the snow on different property based on different properties. Then the second kind of this avalanche is full depth snow avalanche. Okay, this is another common type of avalanche. Why? Because, just a minute, because the other common type of avalanche is full depth avalanche, because its name is telling you that it is a kind of avalanche where the surface slide over the ground. Okay, whatever the snow cover from the earth above the earth is there, that slides over the ground. Okay, so that is called as full depth, means whatever the snow cover is there, okay, above the ground surface, that completely slides over the ground surface. Okay, so that is called as full depth avalanche. Then the loose snow avalanche, sometimes this snow, it gets loose because of maybe various properties over there. Okay, so loose snow avalanche is the first of these kind of snow avalanche, where the common on steep slopes, and after fresh snowfall they can be seen, because the fresh snow is loose in its kind. It takes to time to settle down. If there is a heavy snowfall and it slides along with the snow falling, then it may be called as a loose kind of snow avalanche, because uh, just a minute, let me share my screen. Now can you able to see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Rahul or Devanshu?
Yes, ma'am. Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we were talking about the types of avalanche, where we were discussing about the different kinds of or different types of avalanche. Where the first type which we were discussing, that is loose snow avalanche. I told you ki when the snowfall starts, okay, it starts in the form of flakes. If you have seen the snowfalls, it is kind of cotton fabs, or you can say it can be in the form of flakes. It is not a kind of solid ice which you see in your freezers or these kind of things. Okay, so it is very loosey, and it takes time to become ice. Okay, so if this loose snow, it starts sliding down from various hills, maybe it is called as loose snow avalanche. So loose snow avalanche usually start from the point and fan outward as they descend, and because of they are called as point release. Very few people are killed because of these kind of snowfall. Why? Because this is very you can say very light in weight sort of thing. Okay, why very few people killed by the stuffs? Because they tend to be small, and they tend to be fractured beneath the slopey instead the above slow avalanche often do. Okay, whenever we see a big avalanches, sliding down or these kind of thing, so comparatively because that is very slow and loose in its nature, so this is a sort of very less destructive kind of avalanche. Then the second one is the slab avalanche. Now, what is the slab avalanche? Slab avalanche basically or generally occurs when the packed portion of the snow becomes loose. Okay, now the slab is difficult to see and avoid, for one cannot determine when the snow will move. Okay, now in case of this snow avalanche, it is very difficult to identify whether it is slab kind of avalanche, and because of that we may not assume that what is the intensity of that particular avalanche. Okay, then most of the time a person can still travel on the areas where these snowfalls are occurring, and it just can be identified before the fall. Clear? Then the third kind of avalanche is ice fall avalanche. Now, I told you there are stages of initial snowfall, then it may becomes ice. Okay, and later on it may be converting into the glass or ice form. Okay, so when the glacier flow over a cliff and they form the ice equivalent of the waterfall and ice fall. Okay, falling blocks of ice create a avalanche of ice, which often entertains snow billowing the trigger slabs. Especially in big mountains, icefall avalanche can be large and travel along distances. Okay, so when these fresh snow this accumulates and it converts into the ice forms, sometimes due to fractures or those kind of things, these big ice slabs they start falling down, and sometime it is also traveling with the big mountains or areas. They you find a quite distance from the point from where this ice fall avalanche starts up to the its last point. Okay, so despite this, icefall avalanche kill few people compared dry slabs that triggers themselves, and most of the deaths from icefall avalanche occurs to the climbers in the big mountains who just happen to be in the wrong places at the wrong time. Okay, so because of you must have seen that many people go for mountain that sports kind of, or you can say adventure tourism kind of things. You must have heard that many people they went for climbing or what you can call for uh, क्या बोलते हैं, I'm just not able to recall that word, that many people they go for different kinds of snow games, or they went for trekking on the mountains, in icy mountains or in the glaciers. Why? They want to have some adventure tourism kind of things. Okay, so in this ice avalanche we have those kind of incidents when people they opt for wrong selection of places at wrong times. For example, I'm giving you example of recent landslides where many tourists they got stuck into landslide prone areas, and many tourists, even they lost their life into those disasters. How? Because they have opted or selected a wrong time for visiting those areas of maybe high altitude Himachal, JNK, Northeast, because nowadays in Himachal or those kind, there are rainy seasons. Okay, and there maybe various road constructions are going on, mining activities are going on, and because of these activities, these rocks, they are having some fractures, ruptures, and which are became more sensitive due to these rains. Now because they were weak, and those water or rainy activities have started on them, and maybe that led to the major landslides, the complete hills, they are falling down. Clear? So they have opted a wrong time and wrong place for visiting. Okay, so because of that, many tourists, they lost their life. So these kind of incidents may happen because of these ice fall avalanches. Clear? Then Cornice fall avalanche. Now in Cornice are the fatal attraction of mountains, their beauty matched to their danger. Now in Cornice are elegant, snow structured, formed by wind drifting snow onto the downward. So this is again one type of avalanche where these kind of activities they took place. The next one is the wet avalanche, glide avalanche, slush avalanche. Now, these are different types which you need to just go through that what it is. Okay. Now, if you see this wet avalanche, this is most avalanche professionals make a hard separation between wet snow avalanche and dry snow avalanche. Okay, so here this is very difficult to identify that which one is the dry one and which one is the wet one, because the wet and dry avalanche are so different. So the forecast for wet and dry avalanche is very differently. Much of the machines are different and move differently only in the natural for things. Two separate speeds another altogether. Okay, so in case of wet avalanche, these are difficult to identify. Okay, but due to some mechanism or those kind of activities, we are able to identify or differentiate between these wet and dry avalanches. Okay, then we have these glide avalanche. Now these glide avalanche occurs when the entire snowpack slowly slides as a unit on the ground, similar to a glacier or a catastrophic release of a slab avalanche that breaks into the ground. Okay, it moves in a snowpack. This uh, what you can call snowpack brick kind of things. It slightly moves down and it breaks down in the ground. Clear? Then glide is slow process that usually occur over several days. Now, if you take an example of glide avalanche, this is a slow kind of process where it takes several of days to process this kind of avalanche. Clear? So, like ice fall, they came down randomly in time. Clear? Then we have the slush avalanche, where the most of the avalanche of the world is slush avalanche usually occur in the northern latitude, such as Brooks Range of Alaska. So, if you see, this is the most common type of avalanche of the world, especially in the northern latitudes. Okay, and usually this is because they occur very gentle slopes compared with the avalanche typically from 5 to 20 degree, and they rarely occur on the slopes steeper than 25 degree. Okay, so these kind of avalanche, these are called as slow creeping sort of things, and they generally occurs in the comparatively lower slopy areas where you have a range of 5 to 25 degrees max. Clear? Now, when water saturates the snowpacks, it catastrophically loses its strength, and resulting a slush often runs long distance in very gentle terrain. Clear? As in the beginning itself, I have told you that this is a slow kind of thing. So, the in case of this is a very slowly processing and very less, comparatively less slopy area where these slush avalanche are occurring. Clear? Then we have the causes of avalanche. Okay, if you go through the causes of avalanche, then it may be due to the force of gravities on the snow cover areas, it exceeds its mechanical strength. To be caused an avalanche, it needs a steep slope. Okay, it needs a snow cover, it needs a weak layer in a snow cover, and where a trigger to initiate a movement. Okay, if there is no fracture, if there is not a weak point, then how we can expect to slide down these avalanche? Okay, so whenever there will be a snowfall, this snow avalanche, so there must be a weak point from where it avalanche or it will start initiating the process. Clear? So snow avalanche may occur on the slope where enough snow is deposited in the right circumstances. Snow does not accumulate significantly on slow steeps. Also, snow does not easily flat slopes. ठीक है ना? Snow now, when we are talking about these snow avalanche, they may not be happen because without snow. So wherever there is a snowfall, okay, so there is, in most of the cases, they are not the flat slopes, because in high altitude areas they must be falling. It may be possible that there are comparatively flattened slopes in a few areas, like we have talked in the slush avalanche, that the slopes are of maybe 20 degree or 25 degree. Okay, so in that case, maybe comparatively flattened areas are there on the hilly areas also, but they not be without slopes, or they not be a flattened slope kind of things. Okay, so most of the avalanches of dangerous size are therefore originate on the slopes with the inclination between 30 to 45 degree, and on the slopes of more than 45 degree. Okay, the sloughs, the small avalanches are common, but the the snow accumulates. They may be small in size, but they seldom accumulates sufficient depths to generate a large snow slide. Okay, I told you in the beginning itself that when most of the snowfalls, snow avalanche, they start the origin, okay, they may be a small kind of things, but when they travel at higher slopes, high altitude areas, so while traveling they may convert into a you know catastrophic kind of thing because of its rapidness, because of its height from the area, and we don't know what shape it will take while it will start moving from the origin place towards the downwards place. Here, then if this is a global profile of various snow avalanches. So if you see, this is a graph which is given by this is a source from where it is taken off, and I'm showing you right now. This is a report given by NIDM, okay, on various hydrometeorological disasters. So if you see, this is a global profile where North America from 1996, 97. So these are the avalanche fatalities in by geography and different years. Okay, so in total, 188 in 1996 and 7, 220, 198. So this is the global profile of snow avalanches in various regions of the world. If you see in Indian profile, the snow avalanche have long posed a hazard and a risk to indigenous population of Himalayas and Trans-Himalayan mountains, where we have which states? JNK, Himachal, Uttarakhand, etc. Okay, so these are the different states of India which are under the risk of these snow avalanche related activities. Okay, clear? So if you talk about these avalanches, so various activities, various controlling strategies, or you can say various activities, various alarming systems are being developed, or various early warning systems have been created, so that if there is a heavy snowfall, those areas are announced as that there is a heavy snowfall. If the snowfall exceeds a particular mark, then it may slide down because of heavy weight of snow or ice. Here, so different kinds of early warning systems have been created to come up with the avalanche hazard management. Okay, then the different controlling strategies also have been taken into consideration, where if you see, the snowbound areas has increased the manifold, the increasing necessity of developing communications like routes, development of winter tourism, construction of hydroelectrical projects, transmission lines in the snowbound areas. So these are the different controlling strategies which are being taken care by the different state and central government. You have must have seen that various projects are going on where we are trying to calculate the retreat or increase of various glaciers. Why we are doing these kind of studies? We want to have an idea about the movement of these glaciers. If they are increasing, okay, so maybe there will be scarcity of water related things. If they are decreasing in their size, so maybe snow is melting down and the water levels of different river bodies, they are increasing, and they then it may be so. Until unless we don't know the movement of these glaciers, we cannot plan for different kinds of activities which are related to the communication route development, which are related to the development of different tourism activities, or different, like you must have seen that there are different hydroelectrical projects are going on in these regions, because the rivers, they are flowing in a different uh, you know um uh, speeds, and there are good amount of these hydro powers. So they are different companies, different governments, they are involved into these hydroelectrical projects, where they are generating these electricity at giving these electricity to the various adjacent, or selling their this electricity to the different states, so that they are not in scarcity of these electricity related things. Okay, so these are different controlling strategies are taken care in those areas. Okay, so I think you have understood the concept of this snow avalanche, what it is. Okay, now avalanche prone areas, I told you, the Himalayan and trans Himalayan areas, where Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand, they are the most prone areas as far as these avalanches are concerned. Then there are three types of avalanche zones, where we have red, blue, and yellow zone. Red zone, the most dangerous one. Blue zone, moderate, and where the avalanche, yellow zone, where snow avalanche occur only occasionally. Okay, means very less prone areas are there. Then we have studied the different types of avalanche. Okay, then we have also completed the impacts of different avalanches, and finally how these avalanches are being controlled by different authorities, where we have studied the different early warning types of systems are being developed for controlling these avalanche, and finally how different management strategies are being applied. So I have told you that different tourism, different communication, where we have power lines, where we have communication routes, where different roads networkings are there, those kind of things are being taken into consideration. So with this, I think I have tried to complete you, we had tried to give a complete discussion about the snowfall, snow avalanche, and its affected areas, whether it is globally, whether it is Indian context, and what are the different impacts and strategies which we are, taking into consideration for controlling these avalanche. Okay, so with this, I'm ending my today's talk on snow avalanche. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Otherwise, we will be discussing this cold wave and hot wave in the coming lectures of your uh, disaster management people. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Yes, Dipanshu?
Yes, ma'am.